Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and thank you so much to AFK Journey for sponsoring this video. But now in this video, I want to talk about 10 characters in AFK Journey that can add value to any account. Be it whether you are a PvP guru or whether you're just specifically going for PvE, PV boss and stuff like that. And all of these characters probably will add some sort of value to any single account. I don't want to just talk about the super S tier characters. I want to give you a variety of characters that people are playing in the meta for A ranks right now. Let's first start off, of course, with the first and most easiest one, because this is a list of 10. Let's talk about the easiest one that we can probably get a lot of people to agree on. This is Rainier. I think Rainier is super strong because you don't really even need him at super high copy rarity like Mythic Plus. He is actually very usable even at just a simple one copy of this particular character as well. So why is he so good? Some of you might ask. It starts off with just the battle being entered. What he does, let me just see whether I can find that. He swaps, you can see this dynamic balance here. When your battle starts, he swaps a unit with an adjacent ally's position when they are in symmetrical positions. If you're interested in a Rainier guide in depth on like what he does, his kit does, you can check out the video that we have on our AFK Journey specific channel. I'll link it up in the video card above, or I'll put in like the video description if you're interested in more details. I'll just give you a very quick summary of why certain characters here are making it into my top 10. So you have very good position switching over here, good amounts of tactical play as well. He's out. Basically helps you gain a numerical advantage on the enemy, and later on of course he gets certain kind of debuffs and stuff. Don't bother about the season buffs because these could change as the time goes by. I want this video to be a more timeless video applicable to as many people as it can be. So I think Rainier is probably like my first pick. You don't even need him at super high copies. You don't even need his the EX weapon here because this is just an additional utility, but his main function, especially at lower rarities, is simply the tactical advantage that he offers. So this is the first character I think I want to talk about. The next character is going to be a character like, let me see where that is, Rowan. Now Rowan is excellent especially in PvP because she, I'm actually not too sure, but it buffs a lot of energy. You can see the ultimate of Rowan moves up one tile and then provides surrounding allies with tons of energy. It's a crazy amount of energy because the faster your characters can get bumped up, and to use their ultimate means that you are able to burst faster than enemies. That could make the difference between you and the enemy in terms of who gets their burst and who wins the fight. So very, very clutch. Rowan is a conditional play, but generally because most characters rely on their ultimate ability, this is very, very strong. I think one of the strongest characters out there. Most versatile also. Also does a lot of healing. You can see in the overall kit here, this smart store. Generally this character skills, of course, together with a little bit more rarity, so you can unlock more of the exclusive weapons and stuff like that. This great bargain lucky stuff here, where you can like get more potions, permanently buffing particular teammates and stuff like that. So Rowan is a very, very strong character. If you guys are looking for a healer or you're feeling that you have not enough energy, consider this unit. This unit is also very, very strong. Next up, of course, and I'm going through the S ranks first, but towards the end, I'll talk about the A ranks because S ranks is much more clearer. It's easier to see the distinguishing factors. Then in third place, I think that can add value to any account would be a character like Thoran. Thoran is probably one of the best tanks in the game. Why do I say that? Is he simply has an ability to revive. Some of you might realize by now if you are fighting him a lot. After he gets defeated, he has this resurrection ability which allows him to heal, and which basically extends the duration. If enemies have one-shot characters, he kind of cheeses that because he has a bit of extension of life, forcing the enemy to wait for their burst again before they one-shot him. At the same time, if they don't deal with this tank, because one of the problems with tanks in many games is that you just need to ignore them, focus on the back line. But Thoran is slightly different. If you ignore him for some time and he gets his full out, he does a massive amounts of damage with his soul retaliation, his ultimate ability when he charges, and then he slashes back. Very, very good amounts of damage. So you can't just ignore this tank because he will do quite a lot of damage as well. Very, very strong. On top of that, of course, once you get him to a certain rarity, you will be able to unlock his Soul Pack ability, which then binds with an ally behind him, and then you take 50% of damage for this ally until the battle ends. Great, especially when the enemy is trying to like backline your DPS. Thoran is still going to be very useful because he has this like soul bind. You can see it from like chains in the battlefield. So this is probably, in my opinion, one of the best tanks in the game right now. Once again, we're not touching on any of the seasonal abilities because this could change from season to season. I want this video to be like more or less like timeless across the map for any new player who's joining the game to get a bit of a sense of where to go. So we have talked about 3 very, very strong characters already. Let me add another very general character to focus on, and that of course is Smokey and Mii. Notice that I'm sharing with you characters that are more defensive right now because there's a lot of offensive characters that actually can be gotten from the A rank. One reason why I like supportive characters a bit more is they generally, power creep tends to be a bit less on that aspect, whereas DPSs is all about who can do the biggest damage, is the easiest to sell for any of you who are just trying to maintain your account. You want characters that skill into the very, very late game, especially if you're free to play, don't have too many copies. So Smokey and Mii is very strong. You will basically summon a aura that goes around him in 2 tile radius, and he has it like channeling, which gives healing, it gives buffing as well. I think it buffs attack speed, it gives heal, so good amounts of buffing. One of the downsides of Smokey and Mii is he can be countered by Rainier, the first character that we talked of course on this list. If you swap him out, he's like buffing no one in the radius. That's a bit awkward. Whereas Rowan, for example, is not a tile caster. He's just like an AoE. He goes up to units and then like buffs them and stuff like that with energy. So that's the only downside of Smokey and Mii. Has this huge AoE, but the AoE could be outplayed if you're playing in PvP, but not always the case depending. Still offers a lot of healing, a lot of energy restoration. I think one of the stronger units in the game. It works even at lower rarity, but of course scales much better with the higher rarity as well to improve its overall utility. So 4 characters so far, they are pretty generic, very, very defensive characters that can fit into any, more or less any single team. But now let's talk about some units who can start to maybe more A ranks instead of just focusing purely on the S ranks, because we all know the S ranks is a lot better. And the first character that I want to talk about, of course, is OD. This is a super strong unit, super underrated. As you can see, I'm slowly starting to get more copies of this character a little bit late into the game, but the meta has shown that this character is super good. And why does he why is it super good is because he kills units of low life. Let me just see where I can find that ability. He immediately, right, so you see this Heart Crusher ability that unlocks a Mythic Plus. OD immediately defeats poison enemies when their HP falls below a certain limit. This is great, especially if you have like certain units, like maybe that jumping grave one around there. So you immediately hit a particular unit, kill them immediately. He deals massive amounts of damage in most PvE content as well that you have. A very, very strong unit. He's a A rank and one of the best DPS in the game if you consider not only the utility he does, but also for the price you're paying. It's an A rank, you don't have to have so many pools. You can just pick him up in the shop if you just do your dailies on a daily basis. So one of the strongest DPS in the game. I highly recommend you build this character. Especially so before a lot of other characters too. So we only found this out, of course, as the meta started to stabilize, but OD is probably one of the characters I want to talk about. So we have 5, now going on to number 6. Let's talk about another, I guess we are going to talk about, who should I mention? I have a list here, but I'm trying to like balance it out with offensive and defensive units as well. So let's talk about Coco. Coco is also really, really strong. Started to gain a little bit more relevance, especially when a new meta PvP team started appearing in AFK Journey. What makes this character so good is when you out with Coco, you get a 45% damage reduction for 12 seconds. So very, very important that this character gets the out up if you are facing enemies with like one-shot team, wombo combo teams. If you don't get it fast enough, this damage reduction might not be fantastic, but I think overall, a huge amount of damage reduction. If you have a bruiser-like team that can sustain the damage with a good amounts of recharge, sustain, this is probably a very, very strong unit that you can add to your roster. A bit more PvP focused, but also does pop off in later stages of PvE, PvB, because you start to realize that the enemies hit very, very hard. Just allows you to push a little bit deeper into the next stage, and so on and so forth. Other than that, you can see feeds weakest ally, heals them a little bit, grants them attack buffs also. So not only a bit defensive, but also a bit more utility as well. Some little bit of damage over here, nothing too fancy. Some haste. When full energy, your all allies gain a shield. So very, very good amount of utility for this slightly defensive unit as well. So very strong. 6 characters on the list. Let's talk about number 7, and that will be Kruger. Where's my Kruger? So this is also a character that I'm slowly trying to get resources on. I don't have unlimited funds, but I think this is a very strong character, especially in the Dream Realm, because what he does is he reduces enemies' target physical defense. One of the rare characters that has physical defense shred stacks up to 4 times. So he's like, basically, if you do simple additive maths here, 40% physical defense down. Super strong, especially if like you're on one target, that boss that you're trying to kill. Build this character, you can push through your Dream Realm a little bit faster as well. I'm trying to get him to higher copies so he becomes much more usable, but definitely one of the stronger units in the Dream Realm. If PvP might not be as good, but if you're just looking to get more resources, because maybe you're free to play, you want to like get ahead of other free to play players to challenge them in PvP, this unit, don't sleep on him. Very strong, A rank as well, so it's quite easily obtainable just for the defense shred. Just try him out even at whatever copy you have, put him in and see how he performs in the Dream Realm to see whether you like his playstyle as well. Now on the flip side of that, we have one physical rest shred. There's also a character that does magical resistance shredding. Now let me see if I can find her real quick. That's my mage. Where is she? Maybe I haven't selected her in the copies because I hardly play magical damage, so maybe I have to go into the mystical house for this. And I can show where is the wish list. That is so for some reason I haven't gotten a single copy of her. Maybe this is not the best place to find. Let me go into the collections, heroes, and there we go. So this unit is opposite to Kruger, where she does magic defense shredding. Let me see if I can find that real quick. One of the abilities that she has. Right, so Enhanced Force. You do need a couple of copies, I believe, to get this ability, but once it does, you are able to reduce the enemy's magical defense on the enemy by 20% for 10 seconds. On top of that, she does a decent amount of CC, do good amounts of magical damage as well, some sort of crowd control, so I think it's quite strong. At the same time, she also is a buffer when the nearest ally starts, granting them tidal strength, which deals a little bit more damage and bless the targets again and stuff like that. So pretty good. I think this is a pretty decent unit, especially if you are looking to push a little bit further in the Dream Realm. I don't have her. I don't really play magical damage that much, but if you do, you maybe like magical damage or have one whole entire team dedicated for that, you could consider Cassidy for the defense shredding that she offers as well. So that is 7 characters now. That we talked about a good amount of range of A ranks and S ranks. I want to talk a bit more about more A rank, maybe slightly lower tier units. And another character that I personally missed out on is Corin. Corin is very strong. He has good amounts of CC. Let me just show you his kit. You can see you immobilize a bit of enemies for 2 turns, knockback, a bit of knockback. You have immobilization duration of 4 seconds, so good amounts of crowd control is overall kit. This is I think it's an A rank. I'm actually not too sure at this point. Corin jumps to the weakest ally and granting them a shield that blocks a certain amount, dealing that, and then he dashes to the closest enemy and dealing some damage, true damage as well. So good amounts of protection, good amounts of CC that he does, crit strike, some crit over here that he does, so good amounts of damage, some at speed that he gets from copies. When Corin and the allies within 2 tiles cast the ultimate 3 times, he enhances his spear, dealing true damage based on target's max HP, and of course a bit of extra damage that he has. Damage dealt by enemies 1 tile beyond is reduced by 25%, so good amounts of control. But one thing that's special about him is the Mythic Plus equipment, which I haven't gotten yet, but you're allowed to protect your weakest ally as well. So I think this is probably a strong unit. I'm slowly going to get this unit up, and the community actually has ranked this guy very highly. I am personally wanting to catch up on this unit. Haven't really built him myself, but that will be my number 8 character that I think is pretty good. And 2 more that I want to talk about. Let's go back a bit and let me talk about a 5-star character or S-rank character, and that will be Sisia in number 9. Now this character is one of the characters that I started building right at the start of the game. Has a very strong summon unit, as most of you know. You summon this Mr. Kyle, however you pronounce this. You gain a lot of damage that you do. You have a bit of entanglement, especially when you have her EX weapon here. You have a bit of single target damage that she can do with her EX weapon. The golem that you summon, I call it a golem, also does a lot of AoE damage, magical damage. Very strong unit, especially if you're tackling across content. She's not going to be the best like in PvP because her kit is not specialized in like crowd control, immobilizing enemy and stuff, but still, if you're a new player in the game, you don't have much resources, a good DPS like this on your account probably will get you quite far in most contents that you're trying to fight. I still use her to today, even though I have quite a few characters already at Supreme Plus. Very, very strong unit as well. So 9 characters that we talked about. Notice that I'm trying not to talk about the limited characters too much. I don't want to pressurize anyone to have to put them on your wish list or have to spend any money and stuff like that. I want to give you characters that are good for all of them. Some honorable mentions are, of course, you have Carolina, who is like specific for PvP. Probably won't really be too useful outside of that. You have a lot of other characters, like maybe the other Celestial characters in the game. They are all definitely very, very strong, attractive units. The limited characters are very fancy. But let's talk about one more character on this list that I have, and that would be, let me just see my list here, which will be this character called Marcie, and that is this one. Where's my Marcie? I believe it's this one here. Whoops, this is Atlanta. Right. So Marcie here is also rated very highly from the community as well. She's great in the Dream Realm, and let's take a look at her overall kit. So she moves, she does some damage in her out ability. Every 2 attacks charges up before her normal attack. Attack speed increase, crit damage bonuses, attack is increased by 5%, and when other allies cast their ultimate, stacks up to 6 stacks. So you can see she deals a lot of true damage in her overall kit as well. So very, very strong character, especially if you have her at like slightly higher copies to do a lot of damage on the Dream Realm bosses. So if you're looking for a DPS to burst down the Dream Realm, Marcie is actually a pretty strong option to do that as well. I think that these are the 10 characters I would recommend to any new player, be it whether you're trying to fight in the arena, whether you're trying to fight in Dream Realm, and if you're trying to fight bosses and stuff, probably these are the ones that I'll recommend to take up. Don't worry and don't stress yourself on limited characters as well. You can always find options around that, and a lot of people are actually fighting the top meta without a lot of the limited characters anyway. And if you guys appreciate such content, do check us out our other videos that we have, and also our dedicated channel on AFK Journey is at EODAFK on YouTube as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you in the next video.